I think home has finally stopped being geography for me.
Right.
And I think we're always pushed for that to be how we define home. And it
Yes.
makes some sense
Right.
because our surroundings become our culture, our surroundings become how we define ourselves.
Right.
What do I do in a day? How do I have fun? How do I
Yes.
connect with my family? So
Right.
it's not meaningless, but your definition of yourself can be so much bigger than where you are. And that's been very healing for me because I will never be in a place that is my everything. Canada is not my everything. Afghanistan is not my everything because I've had life in both. So
Right.
I really feel like I finally embraced that home is two places for me and both live equally inside of.
Today, I'm honored to welcome someone whose work has touched many Afghans around the world. Mina Sharif is a storyteller, advocate, and community builder who has spent 15 years in Kabul creating media that shaped a generation. From Sesame Street, Afghanistan, to youth radio shows that give young Afghans a voice. She founded Sisters for Sisters, one of the most impactful mentorship programs for Afghan girls and women. And she continues to serve our community through her work at Jumpstart Refugee Talent, as an advisor organization like Art Lord, Zarifa Foundation, Nimruch Media, and more. She's a powerful voice for identity, women's right, refugee, and trauma-informed support. Today, we're exploring her book, Your War, Our Lives, a collection of fictional stories inspired by real Afghan lives, painted with emotions, beauty, and truth. Mina brings Afghanistan to the world never sees, nor the headlines, but the hearts. Mina John, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I'm very excited for today's conversation, especially because you have vast experience in two different worlds, from Afghanistan as well as in North America or Canada. So I want to start with this. They say a nation is not a place on a map. It's a story you carried inside yourself. And you, as the Afghan diaspora, that you've lived both lives here in Canada as well as in Afghanistan, from your perspective, where do you call home?
I think home has finally stopped being geography for me.
Right.
And I think we're always pushed for that to be how we define home. And
Yes.
it makes some sense
Right.
because our surroundings become our culture, our surroundings become how we define ourselves.
Right.
What do I do in a day? How do I have fun? How do I
Yes.
connect with my family? So
Right.
it's not meaningless, but your definition of yourself can be so much bigger than where you are. And that's been very healing for me because I will never be in a place that is my everything. Canada is not my everything. Afghanistan is not my everything because I've had life in both. So
Right.
I really feel like I finally embraced that home is two places for me. And both live equally inside of who I am.
Amazing. You actually bring a very, very, I think, important point. It's the home is wherever you are and you carry inside, right? And maybe you speak for a lot of people that have this kind of conflicting ideas of because they have spent their time back home as well as here.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them to identify exactly where do they belong, right?
Yeah. I think we're looking for comfort,
Right.
right? And if we don't see it around us, this doesn't
Right.
look like what I like to do and where I feel accepted and where I feel loved. And if we challenge ourselves to find that inside,
Yes.
then everywhere is your Afghanistan and everywhere is, your Canada or however else. But for example, this is an interesting point in it. Whenever I was in Canada,
Yeah.
I would be feeling so Afghan because I
Right.
thought like I'm bringing something here that I don't see around me. I represent Afghanistan when I'm here.
Right.
And then when I was in Afghanistan, a lot of times I was hyper aware that
Right.
I'm not like everybody else here. I grew up in Canada, so
Right.
I'm bringing that here. And that gave me a feeling of basically always feeling
Yes.
like I'm not exactly like everyone else in the room. And for a long time, that made me feel different and unaccepted. And then I switched it and thought, oh, I have one whole other world with me that is not in front of me.
Before we continue, I want to ask you for something small but meaningful, and that is to please subscribe. This podcast isn't just mine, it's actually ours. You're part of this journey, and together we're building one of an only platform where Farsi, English, and Pashto voices stand side by side, where our stories, our pain, our success, and our dreams are finally heard with dignity. Your subscription helps this community grow. It helps us bring more guests, more powerful conversations, and more stories that deserves a home. So if you believe in this mission, hit subscribe, be part of this movement. Thank you. Interesting.
Yeah.
I've the same kind of experience, right? But mine is I grew up the most of the adult life in Afghanistan until the age of 19, and then I moved to the US and then Canada. Was there any time for you that you had to feel like you had to protect some part of you because one side wouldn't accept that?
Yeah. I think all the time until recently,
Really?
for sure.
Yeah.
Not so much in Canada, to be honest. I grew up in a very multicultural area. I don't think I felt unaccepted, but I didn't feel like I was connected to my Afghan part as much as I wanted to be.
Right.
I had it only at home, in my home, with my family, but not everywhere in Canada did I feel like I was accepted as an Afghan. I was just thought of as someone, a multicultural representation of Canada.
Right.
And now I feel, after my time in Afghanistan and in the growth of my confidence in my identity as someone who is Afghan, I actually very strongly represent Afghanistan in every conversation, in every room that I'm in, and I am happy to do that. Not as an aggressor against anything, but to add Afghanistan in every place I am.
Right.
Maybe, to be honest, it's a little more love on that side.
Yeah.
I don't represent Canada so much.
And when you say you don't represent Canada, is there a side of you that you reject that part of you spending in Canada?
There used to be. I used to really resent Canada or that part of my identity for a couple of reasons, especially after the fall of Afghanistan. You know, you stop and think about where you are. You know, this country is leadership, I would say, is a part of why Afghanistan is where it is.
Right.
And you can't help but resent that.
Right.
And when people think you should be so lucky that you're in Canada, sometimes I stop and think, but I'm not lucky. I don't have the opportunity to live where I live because of places like Canada.
Right.
So I was very upset with the country.
Yeah.
But when you go outside of politics and outside of leadership decisions, and you think about how you actually grew up, and that I think about my childhood in Canada, and the community I had and the school I went to, there was so much love and there was so much community, and I don't want to hate it. I very much love how I've been treated personally from my community. So I just can't live in that kind of anger that because I disagree with how the government has treated my country.
Yes.
That's not fair, because I oftentimes disagree with the government of my own country too.
Exactly.
So
Politics is a complete different world.
It has to be separated from
And
your connections.
So yours is more of like a personal identification for you.
You have to separate it.
Right?
Yeah.
And you have to separate it. A friend once told me that being Afghan in diaspora feels like you're basically with two different suns, living with two different suns. One is rising, one is setting. When was the time that you kind of thought, you mentioned a little bit earlier about that, that you thought, you know what, okay, I was brought up here, now it's time for me to go back to find out my roots and see what am I missing there?
Well, okay, I'll be really honest. I didn't have that thought process because when I was growing up, there was not even a hope of going back to Afghanistan. We didn't, nobody implanted that in my head because we didn't see that could be a possibility.
Yes.
And circumstances gave me an opportunity to go for a 6-month, opportunity to go to Afghanistan. And I ended up going, and I thought to myself, it's more of like, I have nothing to lose, but this dream can come true that I never thought would be available to me. So even if I'm not happy there or they're not happy with me, it's okay. It's 6 months. I can come back. And I went with, I say the most important thing, without expectations. I just wanted my own opportunity to see. But before the plane landed, I was like, I think I love it here. I felt a connection before it even landed in the airport, the
So
plane.
you felt the connection from
Absolutely.
inside.
Absolutely.
And what part of Afghanistan or people attracted you most?
Well, how I felt it before I even spoke to anyone was it's a feeling that I think only people like in my situation will understand. Someone who's lived away from it, but when they go back, it feels like you're returning to something. Feeling like you're returning to something that you have never been to, or I was, less than 1 year old when I don't remember it. It's a very strange feeling, but it's a very positive and powerful feeling. You feel like, I know everything here. It's so familiar to me because it's in your blood, it's in your bones, it's in your ancestry, it's in your DNA. And then when I landed in the airport, of course, with all these warnings of how terribly I would be treated, to be honest, plenty of those warnings. The first thing that the airport guy said to me was, "Khush amadi ba watan khud," and he stamped my passport. I couldn't ask for a more beautiful welcome.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you say these things, I feel like any diaspora that's watching us, they probably gonna have or have had the same kind of thoughts, right?
Yeah, I mean, the hesitation, I can imagine them having. I mean, we only get little snippets, right? We have headlines that show us war.
Yes.
We have our family's stories, and even if they're positive, they're very old. They're like 1 decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades old. So it's not accurate anymore, potentially. And we have our own decision of, do I feel included? Do I feel part of it? And we don't have a lot of opportunity to feel connected. So it can be very scary to think, let me go and introduce myself to this country. After the fall of the country, I think a lot of diaspora wish for that opportunity because the decision is always made for them.
Yes.
You are this, you are that. Your country is this. This is what your country is. I wish everyone got an opportunity to make their own personal connection. And I'm just lucky I had that. That's why I talk about it a lot, because I want them to have it through me if possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, that's a great transition. You said you want them to live or experience through you. Now, let's talk about your book, because that book is exactly what you're basically trying to tell this story to the world, right? Diaspora and others as well. You named it Your War, Our Lives. How did you become with this name? So first of all, give us a little bit of snip of what the book is, what is it about, and how did you come up with the name?
Okay. Well, I'll share with you how the book came about, because I never planned to write a book. When I came back from Afghanistan, a lot of roundtable discussions and interviews and things like that were happening. And oftentimes I was not being asked what I wanted to be asked, and it was making me very angry. They were asking me about war, about hardships, about suffering, and no one ever asked me about the strength of people. How did people feel? What were they succeeding with in those 20 years? How? I can't speak for everyone, but at least the topic should be there. Some positivity or some opportunity for me to say the beauty I found should be there. Why are you asking about my experience if you only want to hear what was hard about it? So instead of allowing myself to get super angry about it, I just started to write these stories because I didn't want to forget what was so special to me. And so I wrote one short story, and then I wrote another short story, and I wrote another one. It was very healing for me. I was just writing it for myself. And it ended up being something I decided to publish because of the reaction I got from some close friends, that they felt seen. They felt connecting. They saw themselves in it in some way. And I called it Your War, Our Lives, because that's what it's about. It's about the life outside of the war, where war is always present, because you cannot have the word Afghanistan without war being parallel to it. But war is not the main character in our lives.
There are people living there.
Yeah.
There's lives.
And when we live there and we're interviewed about war or asked about war, for sure we're talking about war. But in all those other moments, war is the background. It's the backdrop. It's not life. So I wanted to talk about life that I wish people asked me about.
Right.
And when I say your war, I mean that war does not belong to the population of Afghanistan. It belongs to political leaders and other countries and our own government and but not the people, not the everyday people.
Exactly. It's like sometimes I feel like our country has been hijacked.
That's the word I use often.
Right?
Yes.
And everybody's trying to use it for their own gains. Different countries, our leaders, media, everything, right? And they're trying to sell that story to the world so it attracts attention.
Yeah.
And usually violence is the number one thing that attracts attention. That's why the news is always negative.
Yeah.
The first thing you hear is negative, right? So they always trying to put the attention on Afghanistan. They find the worst way to do it. That's war. Violence. People are bad. There's these things happening, which it has truth to it, but there's a lot of hands that actually go underneath that makes it true reality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that it's our responsibility to come up and be like, okay, we're the people who actually live there.
Yeah.
And we want to take it back,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And have a full identity of who we are.
Yes.
A full identity of what our country is, and say, you're flattening it.
Yes.
You're making it flat. You're making
Yes.
it, you're taking so much away when you speak about us that way. And honestly, even when you ask about us that way.
Yeah.
I think we need to also more often stop the question. We don't challenge the questions. We ask the
don't.
questions. We explain ourselves.
Yes.
And I want that to stop. So that was one of the reasons I said, fine, I'm gonna be a little bit out of my comfort zone and publish a book.
This episode is brought to you by Legacy Business Consultancy, a strategic partner for high-growth leaders. Legacy Business Consultancy offers business strategy consulting, management guidance, and tailored coaching for executives and founders. Whether you're scaling operations, optimizing leadership, or building a stronger legacy, their expert team helps you turn a vision into action. Check them out at legacyconsultancy.ca, Legacy Business Consultancy, where your vision meets purpose. Amazing.
Yes.
I read your books and I love the stories that you basically wrote there. There's a beautiful saying. It says like, fiction is a beautiful lie, but you tell the truth in it. Right?
Oh, that's a wonderful line. Yeah.
And when I was reading, because I used to when I was in the university, I took this literature class, and the professor would ask us to write poems or write stories. So I started writing poems, but it became very spiritual, and the professor was like, okay, we don't want to go that far. Okay. And then I changed it to stories.
Yeah.
So when I read your stories, it kind of resonates a lot with me and what I experienced myself and what I would write it to, right? Now, you mentioned that these stories basically were inspired by real life characters or incidents or stories. Was it, I don't know if you can say, was it yourself or someone else that you...
It was a combination of so many things. I think probably I see myself in each story.
Right.
As one part. Maybe it's a lesson I learned.
Yes.
Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was the more positive character. In each one, it was organically something that's familiar to me, at least, right? I guess I would just say that I didn't research anything. I'll put it at that. Not one split second was spent researching.
Wow.
This was all stuff that I knew. I think if I were to write like a second or a third, then research would start.
Yes.
Like in this book, I made a point of not writing about so much intense village life, even though I wanted to, but because I didn't spend enough time in a village. I visited so many.
And you did?
Yeah, and I had that pleasure.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I had enough direct experience to say like, oh, this is how they would feel, or that's how, and that I think was a conscious decision. I really wanted to write about what I felt confident that I'm not just guessing too much. I didn't want to disservice people by speaking.
Did you ever interview anyone for that?
For my book, no.
No? Not even any character or
Not
anything?
A single one. They're all from my head.
So you kind of lived through them.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That takes a lot of imagination.
Well, I spent a lot of time with pretty much every character. You see, maybe not street dogs so much, but a lot of it was more messages that I wish that we could say.
Right.
But when we say messages in defense of Afghanistan, in how much I want people to treat Afghanistan with the dignity that I wish for it, it turns to a lecture, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to lecture people and say, you must respect us and you must. And fiction allows me the opportunity to say, I want you to see why I think you're missing the part where we deserve that dignity.
So that's an amazing marketing theme, because you don't want to tell people directly, right? You want to
I don't think people will. I don't want to
accept
do
it.
it because that's exhausting to just
Yeah.
lecture people all day.
Yeah.
But vice versa, I don't think it's absorbable.
It's
It's
not.
not welcoming.
No, because there's
for
no
some-
emotions in it.
A lot of times at these roundtables and discussions about Afghanistan, someone will raise their hand and say, well, what can we do? What can we do? And then we're like, you need to do this. And you
Yeah.
need to do this. And that's being done. And that's
Right.
great. We need that.
Yes.
That's how laws change. That's how we
Yes.
have shifts. And that, but that's not my place. My place is a little bit more in, I want to say, like those early steps
Right.
where I need people first to see Afghanistan as a living being and not a flat story. Like, see us as people. We say that all the time.
Right.
But how can someone see us as people if they just see war headlines and sad stories? It's impossible.
Right.
So they need to know more about like things that they can relate to. What does a day at work look like? What does a family outing look like? They need that in order to make that connection, and then they can be our allies.
Great. It's amazing. So from your experience of writing that and actually living there for 15 years, you said, right? What is the main difference of people living there in mentality compared to us people living here with the mentality? From your perspective.
On the topic of Afghanistan, or
Yes.
just in general?
No, just Afghanistan.
Okay, I would say, it's the limitation of the stuff that doesn't equal a headline, right? So I think it's a sensory experience to live in Afghanistan. It's like life comes from sounds and smells and
Yes.
feelings and
Amazing.
and
Yes.
you can't do that or unless you try to imagine it. Like I've
Yes.
never been to Africa, for example.
Yes.
I've read so many books on it that I
Yeah.
feel connected to it
Yes.
and to certain elements
Yeah.
of it, and in a lot of Nigerian authors. And
Yeah.
I think words have that magic that
Yes.
they can give you it's not the same as living there,
Right.
but it can give you a sense of
Your
connection.
own kind of experience from your
Yeah.
own personal identity.
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
what
thing.
books do. They invite you somewhere.
Yeah. That's amazing. There's another saying that says, art is the highest form of hope,
Oh, it is, isn't it?
right?
Yeah.
And I think art, whether it's writing, whether it's painting, whether it's storytelling through documentaries or movies,
Yeah.
any form of art, dance or anything, right? So basically, you're trying to create that hope.
Yeah.
For
and
people.
that reminds me so much of what I tell people when they ask me about Afghanistan is, I need you to know what an artful country we are. Like how much art is a part of who we are.
Yes.
All of those things you just listed.
Yes,
I see it's, if you look for it, you'll find it
absolutely.
anywhere. But in Afghanistan, it's part of everything.
It's part of everything.
Everything,
Our
everywhere
music,
you look.
our everything, our texture.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
even the older style of houses,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
the
all
way people garden, it's not something
our
exclusive.
poetry is the highest
The
form
way
of art.
people speak,
Yeah.
without any schooling, without
Yeah.
any opportunity
Yeah.
for education, a hard labor life is like a philosopher,
Exactly.
and that comes from that art in the DNA.
Yes.
that expression that we have, expressiveness that lives within
Right.
our population is magical to me.
Absolutely. So speaking of art, I've noticed that you have great paintings, beautiful, beautiful paintings. Part of that. What made you decide to, like, kind of bring painting into the fiction?
So I am a big fan of Art Lords. I'm also part of really the Art Lords family, and I love the way that you can look at their art and get so many messages just from
Right.
one image.
Yeah.
And I love the power of that. So how we did this is I asked one of our Afghan artists
Right.
who read the stories to create some art in response to the story. So I didn't guide how I wanted it to look or how I wanted it to. I was asked in what
Right.
style, how should it look? But it's just, it can express a whole story in one image. So I love in really just exemplifying that art is that strong in who we are. It's not just words. It's not just paintings. It's not just poetry. It's not just food. It's so many different elements. So I was so happy to include art in this as well.
Absolutely. So you try to make it like an umbrella, like you said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And bring different aspects of life.
Yeah. And just to, because I'd love for people to, if, you know, if I'm lucky, someone reads it and says, oh, wow, this looks like such a magical place. I want to learn more. Right. This is not a book to give you all of the information you need about Afghanistan by any means, but I want you to, what I would love is for a reader to become more curious. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I think Afghanistan is more than I thought it was. That's all. And the art really helps do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the questions that I always kind of have is the conflict of the, some people, for example, like yourself, you're kind of an artist, right? But you grew up in North America, in Canada. Now, you could have curated your art towards lives here. But people like yourself who have different identities because they are diaspora, right? How should they let their intuition to guide their art to also go back to their roots from your experience?
I would just say your art is you, right? And your connection to your homeland, for example. It might be fragmented. Mine remains fragmented because no one can give me those first years that I didn't live there back.
Right.
No one can give me right now
Yes.
that I don't live there back.
Right.
So I have a fragment. It's a little circle in time, and I really value it so much. Someone else might never have gone,
Yes.
but they might have stories.
Yes.
If you might have nothing, but you can create that too. Read books, go listen to music, go on YouTube, watch a recipe.
Right.
You can create that for yourself and then have that inspire your art however it does. It deserves to be part of your expression.
Absolutely. So it's mostly you're expressing yourself as a person, as a human.
As a human, not as an Afghan, not as a Canadian, not as anything else. I just happen to have a very deep love for that part of who I am.
Absolutely. Amazing. Amazing. I think we should all, me creating this podcast is the same thing. I want to express myself maybe. Yeah. Right? Because it's a form of art as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And it lives in you. It's in your DNA. You can't fight it.
You can't find it, right? and it's funny because whatever else you do, you probably do it by your mind, but it's very boring. But when you do things that you love, it's like you feel like you're actually enjoying every second of it.
Absolutely.
Because it connects deeply to your heart.
Yep.
And you have that feeling.
I completely understand. I have been asked about my process in writing the book.
Right.
And it sounds crazy, but I don't remember because I was so lost in it.
Yes.
I was enjoying it so much that
Yes.
I don't remember the feeling of sitting and writing anything. It was just talking about a place and a people that I love so much.
Yes.
It's easy to get lost in that. And it doesn't need to be that. It could be sewing. It could be something else. But expression is so healing. So,
Absolutely. Amazing. Amazing. One of the things that you also, beside being an artist or writer, you also have worked a lot with different NGOs, and you still do as well.
Well, I work now with a Canadian nonprofit, but I do a lot of. I'm a little disgruntled when it comes to the aid world, and so I do a lot of independent things for Afghanistan right now. Which is not to say there are not a lot of great organizations. I actually support some of them independently myself.
Right.
But I have a lovely, strong network in Afghanistan. So I use that as an opportunity to connect people who want to help in smaller ways.
Right.
That keeps me feeling connected to Afghanistan, and it keeps people feeling like they can bypass the bigger organizations sometimes and just say, like, we're getting wood for this orphanage, or and it's very soul feeding, not only for me but for the lovely people who support it.
It's like it's one lives at a time, or one thing at a time.
Sometimes trust will do that to you too, right? Like we had a very rough couple of years in every way, but also including how much we trust systems.
Yes.
Systems have betrayed us so often. So
Yes.
sometimes I'm still a little bit stuck in that. So I want to do everything independently.
Okay, so that's something that I think, including myself, everybody is struggling with, building that trust or surrendering.
Yeah.
Right. From your experience, how did you come up, or like you made yourself ready to trust it? Trust your intuition, go to Afghanistan, trust your intuition to write the book, or trust yourself or trust the intuition, whatever the system.
Yeah.
It's hard to build it, right?
It is hard to build it. And sometimes it's okay not to have it because it pushes you to create your own. I think that's how systems are built, is that somebody said, it doesn't resonate with me. I'm not, don't force, it feels forced. I don't like it.
Yes.
So I'm going to go and find my own path. And that's exactly how, for me, the book happened. For me, the fundraising happened, is I'm not seeing what I want to see. That means it's my responsibility to create it myself.
I think you embody the word as humans as creator, right? Because we are meant to create, right?
Yeah.
We're not meant to really follow the system.
Yeah.
But the system is making us follow that straight and don't look other places. And that's when we are completely depleted by our energy, by our creativity and everything, right?
Yeah.
We don't think of anything, and we're always stressed.
Yeah.
But if we look at around the world, anything that we are using right now, it's because somebody came up with the idea that, you know what, the system is not working, I have to create my own way.
Yeah.
Even computers, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And I think that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Right?
That's art in itself. I think that's the issue, is that sometimes we use the word art and people have a definition stuck in their head. Like, oh, that means I have to buy some paint.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that.
Yes.
It means you have to think about, where do you see a lack? Where do you feel a lack? And how can you be part of changing that? It might be just conversations with people.
Right.
It might be that you feel no one in this room is speaking and I want them to speak.
Right.
Or it could be this garden looks very dull, I want it to have flowers. So it's not, it's your definition.
Yes.
But if you block it off, you're right. You can become very, I think, disillusioned.
Yeah, and depressed as well.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things that stops us from that is because, well, first of all, we don't have the time, or I don't have the investment to make. I don't have the courage to go all the way to a different country to do all of those things, right?
Yeah.
So again, you made it through that trusting the process by yourself, that you made all those things happen. And would you say the same to everybody else who have this? Because everybody I know, at some point, they want to do something else.
Yeah.
Right? It's because the thing they want is not ready, because their mind says, oh, you're not ready yet, so you're bound to fail.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I can't say that I let my trust and intuition guide me all the time.
Yeah.
But I must have been doing it sometimes in order. I think we're all doing it.
Right.
Everyone's had something happen, and they look back and they're like, oh, how did that great thing happen? We're not always conscious of when we're doing it.
Right.
But if we can be conscious and say, I am going to trust that art should be a part of who I am. I want to be happy. Even just like the goal of like deserving joy in your life is a great start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So great. So there's another topic, because it's very related. There's a great saying that says, I am, and that probably comes to you, I'm a daughter of all those who came before me.
Yeah.
Right? As an Afghan woman, what does womanhood mean to you? Witnessing everything in Afghanistan, what's happening right now to all the women in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Right? What do you see as your responsibility, or everybody's responsibility, to help?
It is everybody's responsibility. I think that's the first thing for everyone to kind of understand, that we're not a separate species.
Yes.
We're part of humanity, and you can't say you're in favor of human rights,
right?
Except for, because then you're not in favor of human rights,
right?
And so really, I think what we're responsible for, I would say first as women, if we want our narrative to resonate, we need to stop saying even Afghan women or even women, and just say human rights, because when we start there, then we're all fighting for the same thing. Then a lot of these things won't exist that women are going through in Afghanistan. But because we're defining it as first they're women, and then second they're Afghan women, that's what's putting us in a situation that we're no longer in the same category as human to some people.
Absolutely. And you know what's so disheartening? When they create all these boundaries and they relate it to either politics, internal, culture, or even religion. Because none of them are actually related to that. Because like you said, it's all goes back to the basic human rights, because they are just as human as I am. There's nothing less or more. But we are separate beings. We have separate way of responsibility, talent, and capacities, right? And I think that acceptance is so hard in people in our country because they've never probably experienced that acceptance themselves first. Now they want to deny that acceptance from others, which is a woman.
Yeah, I mean, power is a very bad disease.
It is.
And
yes.
I think sometimes when generations have lived without steady security and stability,
Right.
power becomes something that looks like you have to have it.
Right.
And if you don't, it becomes a survival instinct.
Right.
As long as I have power, I'm safe, I'm sound, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And that's not actually what safety and peace looks like.
Absolutely. And as a woman, again, for yourself, I think one of the things that we African male is we're always missing to stand with our women. If any policies came that said women shouldn't do that, male was like, yeah, we shouldn't do that, right? And I think that's why we fail all the time as a country, as a whole, right? Wouldn't you agree with that?
I mean, I wish we could have more of a stance together.
Yeah.
But part of that, I think, can happen when we start to highlight the ones who do stand with women. We don't give them enough of a platform.
Right.
I've seen plenty of it.
Yes.
I've seen fathers who are strong, supporting leaders for their daughters, for their wives, for their sisters. We saw when girls were banned in school, one of the first things that happened was little boys also did a protest and said, I'm not going until my sisters go.
Yeah.
I think first a little bit of a shift of our attention, giving them, amplifying those situations can help organically grow the, a more positive response. However, I'm not going to be super naive and say, oh, but that'll fix everything. At the end of the day, there is a sense of dehumanization from within our own community towards women. We have something normalizes, and that's the dangerous part of it. It's not that we are naturally like that. It's that it's been normalized for long enough that it can become confusing.
Exactly. I think that normalization is very dangerous as well, right? And we're seeing right now what's happening there because of all those things. Now, coming back, because it's you're trying to change everything from yourself, and you're doing a lot of those things by yourself, which is great. You've built Sisters for Sisters, a mentorship program, right? And that became a sisterhood for thousands of people, right? What was the moment that you thought, you know what, I should do something like this?
I'm so glad you asked, because there is an exact story
that
happened.
Awesome.
Yes,
awesome.
We were having a Nowruz little party for the kids. They're very small kids, before anyone gets upset at me. They were very small kids, and we had a musician come to play music for them. I would say ages were up to 12.
Right.
So really little kids from an orphanage in Kabul. They wore their fancy clothes, and the boys went to play sports, and the girls were listening to the music.
Right.
And dancing and enjoying, and they're children.
Right.
And I noticed that when the boys came back from the game, the girls automatically, in the middle of the song, went and sat down and didn't finish their enjoying of the song. And the boys just automatically took over. And it was it's the automatic nature of it that stuck with me. These girls are not consciously deciding the boys are more important than me. The boys are not consciously deciding, like, move, only boys matter. But this is becoming a habit from such a young age. So it really struck me. And I thought, oh my God, I have to counter this somehow, not to bring boys down and girls up, but to basically pause and say, that didn't need to happen. You finished your song, and then the boys can have a turn after you. So it was a moment that just sparked something in me. So we started this program for girls to build that confidence, not anti-men, not anti-boys, but pro-self, and their right to exist in such an equal way that they don't even think boy versus girl.
Wow, that's powerful. I think we a lot of us, we probably come up with these or experience these kind of stories, right? And we kind of accept it as normal. And we don't try to take any action to change it a little bit.
Oh, well, it must have been normal for me because I didn't have that moment until I saw it and it happened to hit me. It's not the first time I saw boys take a turn, but sometimes that moment just finds you when it needs to find you.
Exactly. Speaking of of sisters or daughters or women. There's one great quote by Rumi. It says, you think because you understand one, you must understand two. And because one and one makes two, so you also must understand and, right? Now, what is the biggest, in your opinion, the biggest misunderstanding that the world still has about women that grew up in part of Afghanistan, that part?
I think their biggest misconception is about themselves. That I understand Afghanistan because I read this book and because I watched this movie and because I watched CNN and because when they let go of that block that they've created for themselves, if you talk to one Afghan woman or 10 Afghan women or 20, you'll see
the difference.
I don't think we need to have this convincing. I would like to convince you that Afghan women are different than you think is not the answer. The answer is first for people to realize they don't know, you know, and create the space to learn.
Exactly. And let them also express them to themselves too, rather than to...
Listening versus...
Exactly, right? To blame them or label them as, let's say, because they didn't have this, so they must not understand how to properly live or how to do that. They don't understand that that was their reality. That's how they grew up. And they adapted to that. Now, if things change, it takes time for them to adapt as well.
Or maybe they're completely wrong in the first place, and they're actually talking to a woman who has way more courage than anyone that they've met outside of anywhere else. Looks can be deceiving, number one. But even the ones who are a little more adapted to restrictions, as you say, like that is something that is a response to conditioning.
Exactly.
A lot of times.
And it's funny because sometimes I hear from people who are not Afghans or have not really, you know, communicated with Afghans there. When they see someone who's Afghan, they're like, wow, you have so much talent and you come from that part of the world. You're like, excuse me, I'm the same human being, right? Just because of my circumstances, I was not able to voice it properly or show the talent, but we're extremely talented people, right? And every area of the life, our women, our male, all of that, right? We just probably needed the opportunity or that platform, right? And that's a misconception that, you know, like you said, the world is not trying to learn it, except through the lens of war and news. And which is disheartening for us because you're like, well, you're taking a lot of our rights just because your lens is in the wrong place. Right?
You said it. That's right. It's like I guess I would say with age, with experience, where I've arrived is I'm tired of explaining. And justifying and asking for acceptance. I think it's time to say, all of us, including myself, I'm sure I have assumptions about this country or that country that it's my responsibility. If I've made an assumption about something, it's my responsibility to open my mind and learn more. But don't come to me with your limitations about Afghanistan and make it my job to prove you otherwise. First, open your mind, and then let's talk about what I saw. Meet this person, meet that person. But I think the world tends to put all of the responsibility on us to explain that we are not these simplistic stereotypes they have.
And we're always put on the pedestal that we have to prove ourselves more than others. Well, we have the same thing, everything. The only thing is culture is different, the language probably. So there's another great quote. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you.
Oh, such a good quote. You have great quotes.
and it's from Maya Angelou. A great person said it, that's why. What do you think that it's our, as Afghans, because you've experienced and lived there, what is the biggest collective trauma that we're carrying inside ourselves that the world hasn't recognized about us? Or even ourselves don't recognize as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think because we appear and are so strong, like we can laugh in moments that are super dangerous and intense, that's not only a survival mechanism, it's become part of who we are. But that means that part of who we are is moving past things very quickly. And I don't think we should sit and analyze every trauma, but I think we should say to ourselves, we deserve better than what we've been given, and not just it is what it is. You know, we accept, and that's great because it keeps us from sitting in despair, right? But at the same time, we owe ourselves, I think, even more dignity than we give ourselves. Like this has been done to us more than it's our own fault. Like we take a lot of ownership over how hard our lives have been, and I think I would like us to
just take it easy.
Just know that you didn't do this all to yourself. A lot of things were unfair and unjust, and life is unfair and unjust.
Right.
But it's not you. We take a burden on ourselves, like it's our own fault that we have this suffering. That we hear that all the time.
Exactly.
It's not all our own fault.
And I think I had this conversation with another friend the other day, and I said, you know what? I think we should turn it into a strength rather than a weakness, because the experiences we had, not a lot of people had it. But look what it actually made us.
Yeah.
Resilience, right?
Yeah.
Hard work, right?
Yeah.
And we try to prove ourselves, and because of that, we try to always have a higher vision, right?
Yeah.
And that's why if one of us hit it, we hit it actually really good. Because of all those things that we have had it, right?
Yep.
And collectively, I think we should change that trauma into a strength.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because,
I agree.
Because everything that needs to be solid, you have to go through the pain, right? It's like Rumi says, light is where the pain starts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's why you find like an 8-year-old in Afghanistan versus an 8-year-old in the West it's like speaking to an adult in comparison.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not a great thing,
Yeah.
but it can
Circumstances
be.
made it.
Yeah, but it can be something that, as a result of it,
Right.
there is a certain element of like we know we can get through things in a way that not everyone can trust themselves.
Right.
We kind of know we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What keeps you hopeful when you look at Afghans inside the country in diaspora?
It's the nature of who we are. As much
nature.
as we love
The
to
diversity,
say,
probably.
I think the Afghan nature is to be hopeful, even if we sit. We can have times when we don't feel that way, and we voice that we don't feel that way.
Right.
But our actions are always in line with maintaining hope. I mean, the laughter in the dangerous moment,
Yes.
the keeping going, the value of friendship and family and social time and
Right.
art, and all of this is
Right.
hope itself, just in different ways of expressing it, right? Like when you do this show, you're expressing hope right there.
Absolutely.
So that's the expression. I don't think we label it,
Yes.
and that's good. Don't label
Yes.
it.
Don't
Just
label
keep
it.
being. Yeah.
Yes. The judgment is hard not to judge it, right? Because labeling is judgment, right? And when you do it, it kind of puts you into a box.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why when the example, like I was saying earlier about maybe in a village, there is an elderly man who hasn't gone to school and has worked labor his whole life, but
Yes.
speaks like a philosopher poet.
Right.
Because he didn't label himself an artist, but he is one. He is an expressive human being who has mastered this language in this way without any tools. And so that's what, if kind of goes back to your question, like that's how I keep hope, is because I see that around me.
Yes.
How can you not be full of hope and inspiration?
Absolutely. Well, speaking of hope, speaking of being an artist and expression, I just am curious to know, what do you want to leave as a legacy? I know this is such a deep question, but because all these things you've been doing it's mostly humanitarian works through your art, through your nonprofit organization, even through the media that you have worked as well, right? What do you want to change, basically, I would say? Like you mentioned, you want to change the positive picture, make it a positive picture of.
I don't know. First of all, the word legacy has become meaningless to me because
Really?
in 2 generations, no one will remember any of us anyways.
That's-
Maybe 3 max,
Yes.
unless you do something really terrible like start a war and then people
Right.
remember you.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
even want to be remembered. It's fine.
Right.
But in the life I have, it is like what I'm feeling pulled to, I
Yeah.
want to follow it. I want to trust my own instinct.
Yes.
And my instinct happens to be that I pay forward.
Yes.
The experience I had in Afghanistan, I know, is not just I spent time there.
Right.
It's a link for people who didn't.
Right.
Because I know that I saw Afghanistan through a lens of an outsider for a long time,
Yes.
or to a degree, I should say.
Yes.
So I know that I see details in Afghanistan that someone who grew up there might not even notice because it was so normal for them, but it was so magical for me.
Right.
So I have to use that lens in a way that helps other people feel connected. So that's what I'd like to do, is make them see themselves more clearly through my experience.
Through your experience.
Yeah.
And that's through your stories you write, through the things that do it, all the book. And amazing. And what are some other future plans for you? That, or is it because of you surrendered yourself to that destiny?
I honestly, yeah. I mean, I know that sounds, some people, I would say, if my mom is watching this, like, probably drives her crazy. I'm like, I don't know. Let's see what the next 5 years
Right?
is. Yeah, they want solid, plans
Yes.
for your life. But yeah, part of our life story is that we never know what can happen one day to the next. I did not expect to move back to Canada.
Right.
I didn't expect to move to Afghanistan in the first place.
Yes.
So just seeing the entire world as a day
Yes.
or a week instead of a decade is really helpful for me. And not to say I don't have big dreams, but I don't have urgent dreams. Whatever happens in this day and the next is a lot already. Feels great.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what it will bring, but I love what I'm doing now. I love how
Amazing.
people are. I love the conversations very much.
You know what's very, very great about this is because that should be the ultimate goal of our lives, to make that something that we surrender to the intuition and heart and let us lead us,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that takes, you're probably happier than a lot of people in your life right now,
I want them to be happy too.
right?
Yeah.
So
I can't say if they are or not.
yeah, exactly. As I mentioned earlier, like the true happiness is when the heart and the mind are in harmony.
Yeah.
And do you feel like?
Yeah, I feel like my mind is no longer blocking my heart, right? So
That's amazing.
I do what I feel like, what I love, and that voice that comes and says, but what about this and this logistics and this, plan, and how would
Yes.
it happen?
Yeah.
I let that go. And if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I keep adding to the dream list. That's a lot of fun,
Yes.
right? Like the book was one.
Yes.
I don't know what's next, but it will come if my brain is not trying to over control,
Yeah.
then it's a lot of fun.
Amazing. I want to end this with this great quote. It says, Afghans are like pomegranates. From the outside, we look like cracked, but from inside, we're full of seeds of lives.
Yeah,
How much do you agree with that?
very much. I'll counter it with one more, okay?
Yes.
We're also like watermelons.
Uh-huh.
So they're really strong and tough on the outside
Right.
and sweet. And I would say, I wouldn't want to call us delicious, but
Could be.
vibrant.
Vibrant.
Sweet and vibrant on the inside. Yeah.
Amazing. Mina John, it's been such a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much for having me. Likewise.
pleasure.
A pleasure.
Thanks. Hopefully I'll have you again.
I would love that.